Hey, what is up YouTube? thyAshes here bringing you another video, and today, really quickly, I wanted to talk about the recent news of Splyce stepping out of the Gears of War scene and the video that the COO or co-owner of Splyce made talking about how and why they made their exit. And he brought up some really good points that I think need to be more accurately, or not more accurately, because I think he was pretty accurate with it, but more in-depth talked about. And one of the main reasons that he brought up was the way that the salaries are basically getting inflated within the scene. Now, this comes from a number of reasons, and it happens in every esport at some point or another. For example, when I was in League of Legends, and he even mentioned this, there was a team that came into the challenger scene, which is basically the amateur scene of League of Legends, called Ember. And they invested millions of dollars into an amateur team of players, giving them the appropriate facilities and houses and staff and all of this stuff in order to make this god squad in the challenger scene and inflate the challenger scene because they felt like players deserved more, which is great. I agree. It would be amazing if players could earn full-time salaries or even the salaries equal to other sports athletes playing video games. But right now, in certain games, that's just not there. So in League of Legends, in the challenger scene, when that happened, they inflated the scene. And what that means is by those players receiving that much money, it made other players who are at a similar level decide that they deserve more money because those players are getting more money. So in Gears of War, we kind of have a similar thing happening right now, because what ended up happening with Ember is they burned out. Their team didn't do as well as they hoped. The hype died, they ran out of money, it ended. Gears of War, we're experiencing sort of a similar event happening right now, where teams are starting to get, or players, let me say, are starting to get paid almost too much money relative to the game itself and the way the esport is. And I'm not going to mention names, I'm not going to mention specific organizations. We all, if you're in touch with the Gears of War community, you know who these teams are. And there's an appropriate way to do it, right? I understand the concept of wanting to be able to fairly pay players and get them the amount of money that they need in order to make this a job and make it a career and be able to drop everything else and focus on this full time and solely. But that being said, the players have to be paid relative to where the sport is. For example, you're not going to want to pay somebody a tremendous amount of money for something when everybody else in the scene is making a much smaller amount. You don't want to go into a factory and pay one employee $10,000 a week while everyone else is making $250 a week, because the word is going to get around eventually. And that's kind of the same thing we have in Gears of War. Player salaries, it goes around pretty quickly. Even though there's contracts and stuff it plays, it's just the way esports and gossiping in communities this tight-knit are. The word gets around. So when that word gets around, it starts giving other players the idea, well, I beat them. I deserve more. I'm better than them. I beat them. Or I'm on the same level as them. I deserve them that much money. I deserve more money. It starts causing those waves. And that's when you see organizations like Splyce go, I mean, we would love to pay you that much. We agree you're better than them, or you've placed higher than them, or whatever the case may be. But we just simply can't afford it. So then you start to see organizations back out. And now already in the gap of time between season 1 and season 2, which has only been since mid-June, right? So we've only had a month and a half, maybe almost 2 months of this season, off-season kind of thing. We've already had Envious leave because their team went to Echo Fox, and they said that they were at the time at this moment no longer interested in having a Gears of War team. We had E6 back out, and I don't know if I ever saw an official statement from them. We had Splyce now announce that they're leaving. We've had Allegiance announce that they were leaving. So we've lost 4 pretty decent-sized organizations from the scene just in the matter of a month and a half. And I'm not saying that all of these are related directly to this issue. I'm saying that every single one of these hurts the scene. Every single one of these is going to cause less organizations to potentially have interest, less organizations and sponsors to potentially have interest. It might cause viewership to go down. It's going to have all these ripple effects because, when you have multiple notable organizations involved in the scene, it'll make other organizations go, oh, Okay, OpTic and Envy are involved. Okay, E6 is involved. Maybe I should look into getting a team. These organizations, they know each other, they trust each other. They might not all invest into the same games at the same time, but they pay attention to what each other are doing. So it's important to keep that in mind, especially for players as they're conducting, whatever relations with the organizations. You don't want to burn bridges. And I've said this before, it's a really bad idea, especially in esports, to burn bridges, because you never know where somebody is going to end up and when they might have something that you want, or a job that you want, or a favor that you need. You just don't want to burn bridges. So, but that's a whole different rant. So right now we kind of have this issue of just salaries getting inflated, and it's going to cause people and players to expect more money than they actually deserve relative to the space. And it's going to cause organizations to back out because they can't pay that, just like Splyce has. Now, maybe there's other things going on behind the scenes, and this is just one of the reasons that he wanted to point out. There's no way for us to speak on it, but he's 100% accurate in what he says, and I can see it as well, just looking at the scene from my perspective. Now, I've seen the word salary cap thrown around a few times, people saying that we need to implement some sort of salary cap. Coalition needs to implement some sort of salary cap. My question and concern is, how do you implement a salary cap on Gears of War esports when the Coalition has no direct involvement with what the teams do with the players? There isn't a pro league, so there's no contracts between Coalition and the teams and players who are involved in it. It's open events, anybody can attend. Therefore, any organization can send a team, and under any contract that they want. There's no regulation, there's no player rights part of it. There's no anything in terms of the Coalition having support for the players other than top teams getting their coverage, travel paid for. So because of this lack of structure on that end, and this lack of pro league to be able to provide these kind of contracts, it's going to be really tough to cause a salary cap, because you're then stepping into legal areas where, is it really the Coalition's control over how much an organization pays a player? For example, let's say Coalition says, okay, $2,000 is a salary cap, and so let's say XYZ organization goes, okay, I'm going to pay my players $2,000 a month as players, and then I'm going to pay them another $2,000 a month as streamers. Separate deals. I don't know if that's exactly how it could happen, but something along those lines. You can't. It's going to be really difficult to control. Now, we have seen more salary control and contract control in games like League of Legends, where you have the LCS. The players are actually contracted employees of Riot Games, and Riot actually provides the organizations a stipend that the player salaries come out of, and then I believe the organizations can adjust that amount of money to fluctuate between the players and whatnot. But either way, there can be that type of control, but that's in a more advanced scene, a more popular scene, a more popular game, and where the company that develops the game and has developed the league has hands-on control with every moving part of that league, including players, including contracts, including organizations involved. And now they're franchising, so it's going to be even more. So I don't know how salary caps could work. I personally don't think they could work. I understand players' wants and needs for to be able to make a full-time job. And I also saw that people on Twitter saying that players need to be focused on promoting the scene, which I 100% agree with. Players need, if they want that type of money, they need to be bringing more to the scene than just showing up to events. They need to be making content. They need to be making YouTube videos, streaming, watching other streams, watching other YouTube videos, supporting each other, playing UMG ladder, playing Game Battles ladder, whatever the case may be. They need to be doing anything possible to boost the numbers of Gears of War. Without that, the scene only has these tournaments, these once every few month tournaments with the Gears Pro Circuit and the 2Ks online, and orgs aren't going to get interested if the salaries keep rising for players. So let me know in the comments down below what you guys think, what your opinion is of this whole topic. Do you think there could be a salary cap? Do you think players are getting paid too much, too little? What do you guys think? Also, while you're down there, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate the support, and I will see you all in the next video.